Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today, my guest is Belinda Gore. And Belinda is a teacher. She teaches Enneagram and also ecstatic body postures or ritual body postures. She also works with dreams. She's been doing this for quite a long time. She's an author of two books. She worked with Cuyamungi Institute in New Mexico with Felicitas Goodman. And she's an artist. She also created a tarot deck with ecstatic body postures. And she's just an amazing woman that I met many years ago, half my lifetime ago in New Mexico. So welcome.
Thank you.
And later I will tell a little bit about how we.
Great. I'd love for you to do that. Yes.
Yes, but before we go into our conversation, I would like us to have a little pause. So if you were in a place where you can do that, close your eyes and for a moment connect to your body, to your physical body. Just scan your body a little bit, see what's happening in you. Let your breath into your body. Check what's happening in your emotional body. And if there are some emotions, just let them float through you. And if there are thoughts, just let them be. And embrace yourself just the way you are in this perfect state of now. Maybe you would like to direct your breath into your belly and expand that space, and another breath into your heart. And I would like to invite our spirit helpers into this space, all of those who walk beside us, who guide us, who help us, who protect us. I want to invite our ancestors, those whose gifts we carry, who speak through us, who live in our bones and in our blood. Be with us today so that we speak from our hearts and from the source, and so that the words that we speak touch whomever is listening. Take one more deeper breath into your body. And whenever you are ready, open your eyes. So welcome again. It's so good
Thank you.
to see you here. Yes, and the way we connected was quite magical and
Mm.
miraculous, because there was a day when I was connecting my heart to the heart of Mother Earth. I recorded a meditation about that. And then when I arrived home, I saw that my friend is selling this beautiful pendant with a woman with arms outstretched. And then I learned that this was, and I felt that this is my pen. This is mine. It belongs to me. It should come to me. So I ordered it. And then she told me that it was Mother Goddess. And I opened my email, and there was an email from Belinda, from whom I didn't hear for like, I don't know, 10 years. Maybe we exchanged messages maybe 10 years ago. And the message went like this: Hi, Kasia. I didn't know which email to use, so I used all of them. And those are the dates for the interview that you requested. So I sat there and was thinking, gosh, did I invite Belinda for an interview? I don't remember. So then I looked at the emails, and it was a different Kasia. And I found that different Kasia on YouTube. And I noticed that there's an interview with Belinda from 2 years ago. So I started to watch this interview, and Kasia is shuffling Belinda's cards, and she pulls out this card of Woman of Ecuador. And then Belinda starts to read a poem that goes with the card. And the poem is all about this woman who is standing with her arms outstretched. It's all about heart and receiving warmth.
Yeah. Yes.
So I wrote the message to Belinda and Kasia about this. Wow, this is incredible. So that's how we are here, because then I decided, yes, I want to talk to Belinda.
Yes. I thought you were going to tell the story from 41 years, 21 years ago. Yeah. Tell that story too.
Yes, this story was amazing too, because at that time I lived in New Mexico, and my fiance came for a visit, and he said, you know, there was this article on my friend's website, and there's this institute, Cuyamungi Institute, and it's in New Mexico. And these people work with ecstatic body postures. So let's go. We are in New Mexico. This is going to be wonderful. So I connected to Belinda. I don't remember the details, but we went uh, to you.
North
And
of
you
Santa Fe.
and you invited us to this workshop. You were so gracious. You invited us to ecstatic body postures workshop. I was amazed how that worked. And then I learned that you wrote a book about that. And I
Mhm.
decided that I would translate your book into Polish.
Yes.
And this was my first book that was published as a translation. Before that,
I
I
love it.
translated plays,
Yes.
theater plays, but this was the first book. And yeah, this book is still there. Ekstatyczne pozycje ciała in Polish. So yes, and then we connect now.
Right. Every 10 years, which is strange, but I think it also speaks to when we're connected, when our hearts and souls are connected, we can pick up 10 years later and here we are. And it seems just as natural as it was before. So it's
Exactly.
lovely to be
Mm.
able to be with you. And thanks to Zoom, we can have this nice conversation across the ocean.
Yes. So what are ecstatic body postures?
And excuse me, I seem to have a tickle in my throat. Ecstatic body postures is the term that my teacher, Felicitas Goodman, gave to the work that she was doing as an anthropologist. She had identified in the artwork of Indigenous people around the world that there are artifacts in quite distinctive poses that seem to be linked with various spiritual rituals or ceremonies. And her intention was to explore utilizing these postures in the context of a ritual so that because she was starting out trying to teach her students, her university students, how to enter an altered state of consciousness, what as an anthropologist she called the religious altered state, and to be able to do that without drugs or substances or extreme activities. And so she experimented with utilizing a variety, a sampling of postures. And it's quite extraordinary. I've been doing this work for just over 40 years, and I still am quite taken with how effective this very simple process is to allow people to open themselves, to have a connection. Felicitas called it the alternate reality. Some people call it the invisible world, the world of spirit, whatever, is that what we connect with in our dreams, sometimes in our meditations, sometimes in sessions with psychotropic drugs, perhaps, is there's a spirit world that's very real, and we have the ability to interact with it if we know how to open up our natural ability to perceive in that way.
And why would we do that?
Why would we do that?
Mm.
For me, it is that we live in a very complicated world, and I believe that part of our challenge in contemporary society is that, at least in the Western world, but I think it's becoming more and more global, that people don't naturally feel connected with the earth, with the elements, with what is bigger than the world we just see in front of ourselves. And because we feel separate and a bit on our own, there's a lot of anxiety and depression in the world. And when we have experiences in which we know from our direct experience that we're part of something bigger, that we're loved, that we can have insights fairly simply to understand what's going on. All of those to me seem like a great gift. So those are the reasons why I would want to practice them. These days, because the word ecstatic is confusing to people. People think about ecstasy as a drug, ecstatic as being sexual only, um, feel like it means losing control. So I've started calling them ancient ritual postures. And in that way, trying to recognize that this is a gift from our ancestors and used in the context of ritual. It's a very simple ritual. It's pretty easy for us to open to the experience of the invisible world.
So we need this ritual in order to work with the postures.
Yeah. When Felicitas, as a religious anthropologist, identified what she believed was, from her research, the very most generic ritual structure. And there are 5 basic steps. And one of them is just that we come open and prepared, anticipating a positive experience. And in the context of the actual ritual that we do, we do a smudging with the smoke of a fragrant herb or a resin to just help clean our energy field and trigger the awareness that we're entering into something that's special or different. So that's the first step. The second step is that we create sacred space. And that just means that we feel safe. And it can be any place. And we generally use different colors of cloth to recognize the 4 directions, east, south, west, and north, and then above and below. And that just creates a sphere in which we're enacting this ritual. So we come prepared, we create sacred space. The third step is that we do a very simple meditation to calm our minds, because for most of the people I work with culturally, there's this engagement with the mental process all the time. So it's really 5 minutes to slow our breathing and focus in our belly and let all the thoughts calm down. The fourth element is the element of sound. that rhythmic sound helps our nervous system recognize a change of state. Felicitas said that we have to do something to the body to help it know. The body can know that it's time to shift. And so I use a rattle, you can use a drum. We have them recorded. But just that absolutely regular sound um, trains trains the nervous system to a very steady rhythm that then we can focus on the fifth step, which is the posture itself. And so we have identified a number of postures from around the world in the Oracle deck that I created. There are 52. I'm working on another deck, and I finished 24 cards. So I know. So there are, in fact, some postures that you see all over the world, and other postures seem maybe just in one or two different places. So there's quite a variety.
Incredible. And I remember the workshop that I participated in,
Yes,
and that we would go into a specific posture. Then we would come out and talk about what happened.
right.
And people had such similar experiences. If it was a meeting with the spirits posture, and people, I don't know if they knew before you introduced the posture, what kind of posture, probably
Yeah,
not. And then they had all meetings with the spirits. If there was a healing posture, they would all go into healing. And it was incredible to me that we would all go into similar reality or similar
right.
space.
Yes. In her research, Felicitas wouldn't tell people anything about what the posture, where it came from, what it was utilized for. Now, if I'm doing a group, I might do a group just with healing postures so that we know in advance that's what we're working with. I only do that with more advanced groups who don't need to prove that this is something real. It's not just suggestion. Um, and I always loved it when we would go around the circle and somebody would say, well, not much happened. I became a butterfly and I flew around the meadow. That's all. And I think, when else in 15 minutes do you leave yourself, become a butterfly, fly, and then come back to tell about it? So when people say, I think I might have been making it up, it's like, that's highly unlikely that over and over again you would have these lovely, diverse experiences, um, unlike anything people have in their usual mental processes.
Hmm. Yeah, unless we are making it all up,
Yeah,
it's
right.
reality.
We're making everything up, right? Yeah, right.
I liked what you said that you come to this expecting positive experience, and then I thought, wow, this is such a great attitude for life, for living.
Yes,
Just come
yes,
into life expecting positive experiences. If we
right.
all did that, this would be amazing.
True. And from my point of view, um, the world offers all sorts of experiences. And the mindset we have as we go into the world causes us to attend to certain things instead of other things. And if we're expecting bad things to happen, sooner or later we'll start experiencing bad things that then tend to get worse. And it's not that we're making them happen, but we're creating circumstances that are more conducive to good things or more conducive to bad things. If I go to a store with a positive mindset and the cashier um, does something and I have a positive mindset, it's like, oh, yeah, I know I make mistakes too. If I have a negative mindset, I've heard people yell and say, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to cheat me? And rah, rah, rah. And pretty soon it's something negative that's happened. And it's all to do with how we're interpreting the subtler cues that are all around us.
Yes, and then this person goes home and they share that with their family, and then this family shares that with other
Yes,
people, and it spreads. So we really have
yes,
a huge impact on the world.
that's right.
And about
Positive or negative. Yeah, right.
exactly, like lately, I have been collecting trash in the woods and on the road that I'm walking with my dog, and I was so angry at those people and thinking, oh, why are they trashing this place? And then one of my friends says, you know, I think that you are drawing to yourself those people who are putting trash there, you know, it works like that, it's resonance. And I said, oh, this is bullshit, you know. And then soon, like I was really getting into this collecting trash, pulling out huge bags from bushes. And then on Valentine's Day, I'm driving out my driveway and there are two huge bags of trash on my driveway. Like someone put them there. And then I thought,
Yeah.
maybe it's true that I am creating this. Yeah.
We can experiment. At least it's worth, I think, having us, if we experiment with a positive mindset or a negative mindset and just see what happens. uh, we're not asking anybody to believe us just because we say so. And that's how I feel about the ritual postures. It's like, I'm not telling you what you should do. It's like, but you could try it and see what happens for you. And then when people have positive experiences, it's because they've chosen to explore it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit like I believe that there's everything in the world. And when we walk down the street, we can focus on those things that are beautiful, or we can focus on the things that are ugly. And it's going to be the same walk on the same street. It's just
Right.
whatever we are picking up with our awareness and wherever we put that light of awareness, that shines back to us its own light. And with the postures, could you tell us like what kinds of postures there are? Because there are different categories of
Yes.
postures.
We, uh, when Felicitas was first doing her research, um, she realized that some experiences seemed more for healing, and that postures that are really good for healing often create experiences that are very physical, that are, a flow of warm energy, or even a place that needs healing will be painful during the rattling, but it'll be relieved afterwards. Um, Sometimes people have experiences that are very traditional shamanic experience, like of having your head taken off or, your body pulled apart. Um, I actually came to enjoy that. The bear spirit, or grandfather bear or grandmother bear, um, are recognized healers in many cultures. And I would just get used to having a hole drilled in the top of my head so all these bad thoughts could leave, or, having my body taken apart and put back together again so that it would work better. But healing postures are more of an experience in the body, unless we're using the ones that help us direct healing energy to someone else. And those, interestingly, often have a partner. They're often male and female, and the partner is the male who gives energy to the female healer, who directs energy then to someone who's in need of the healing. So there are other postures that are good for what Felicitas chose to talk about as divination, which really means just asking questions and either hearing or perceiving an answer. But in the postures that we call divination postures, it's much more likely that people will hear something. Um, Not necessarily as though it were in the outer world, but within the inner ear, you know. Uh, uh, Spirit journeys often have movement, and we may be flying in the sky or going to the beneath world. Metamorphosis postures are to give us the experience of our energy bodies changing form. Now, we know from, well, even Carlos Castaneda many, many years ago talked about changing, that a bruja or brujo would change into a crow or a coyote or something. Um, I don't know about doing that completely, but I know what it is to feel the experience of maybe growing wings like an owl and feeling the power of being able to fly, or of jaguar in the jungle, and to have such a strong, lithe body. Um, it's often helpful when we're stuck in a certain pattern to do a metamorphosis posture so that we can learn what it feels like to not be in that stuck pattern. And then initiation postures help us understand the mystery of being born and the development of life, the fertility of life, being born, dying, going through the death experience, and then being reborn. So we often think that the oldest, most powerful rituals are around the death and rebirth experience, to just teach us how to be on planet Earth and to go through that death cycle.
Mm. So why do you think we are here on this planet Earth?
Why do I think we're on planet Earth? Well, that's somewhat complicated, but I believe that the Earth is a conscious being, that humans are on Earth for the kinds of embodied experiences that are only possible when we're dealing with a material reality. And a lot of the old teachings say that the role of humans is to be the intermediary between the sky world and the earth world, or between spirit and matter, or between possibility and the idea, the seed that comes in and is given form. Um, so I think we're here to experience that, and the experiences we have build consciousness, our own consciousness, and to feed the consciousness of the larger reality.
Thank you. It's beautiful. So, do you feel that those postures that they change your life? Like, did they influence your everyday living?
Postures have totally changed my life, and um, in a couple of ways. One is that it's easier to have connection or relationship with the spirit world. So I know that I can sit down at my medicine wheel and not even to do a posture, but to just call on the wisdom of the ancestors, or grandmother bear, who's been particularly helpful to me. Um, I also am more attuned to the spirit counterpart of the material world. So, people laugh and make fun of tree huggers, but trees are very alive to me and have a consciousness that I interact with. And so, living on the earth, I love feeling at home here because I feel the aliveness and the presence of the consciousness in all things, not just humans. Um, Also, I was uh, thinking about what do we do if this happens or that happens. Way back, 25 years ago, when it was the Y2K issue, when everybody was concerned that when we went from 1999 to 2000, the whole world of computers would shut down. I mean, people were very anxious. And I didn't actually do this for myself. I had a client who was just, living in anxiety. And we did a posture. She was someone who was open to that. Um, and when I was rattling for her, what I heard, the message was that humans who have stayed in contact with the spirits have always been guided through whatever challenges have presented themselves on the earth. And, that's a really wonderful feeling to know that whatever happens, I have guidance available. And that, well, there's nothing that can replace that. It's a wonderful, wonderful gift.
And how do you know with the spirit world, when the spirits come, how do you know if they are good and if they are going to serve you, or they are tricksters or evil spirits or ones that want to, like confuse you? How do
Yeah.
you know?
Um, Two things. One is that the postures are like doorways or portals. So the posture invites us into one aspect of the spirit world that is basically benign. Um, I'm thinking about there's one posture we never taught. It's the Australian bone pointing posture that directs energy, and it can be negative energy to harm someone. Um, but the other principle is that like attracts like. So if I'm wanting to harm someone, I may very likely attract to me spirit energies that enjoy being harmful. So I have to be aware of my own inner desire. Why am I making this contact? And if my intentions are based on love, then I feel assured that what I attract to me will be based on love. And then over the years, for instance, as though Grandmother Bear is always available to me. And um, if I'm unsure about something, I call on her help.
Great.
So um, I I think a lot of shamanic work has taught people to be fearful. And I think that's a power play. That uh, we don't just enter in like gullible children. We develop our capacity to discern positive and negative. And I always say when I'm teaching, in the middle of an experience, if something's happening that you don't like, sit down, get out of the posture. And that breaks that connection. So we get to trust ourselves to discern if something's good or not for us.
It's a little bit like in this reality. We need to discern too. When we meet other
Exactly.
people, we need to know who is
Right.
coming. Although for most of my life, I thought that everyone was good and that we could all sit in one circle, holding hands and singing peace songs, you know.
Yeah.
And then the older I get, the more I see that not everyone comes with positive intention, and that there are some people here who just want to harm. And then I would say, oh, those people had traumatic experiences in childhood. That's why they are like this. But now I'm seeing that maybe not, that there are different beings in this on this planet from different places. So
We don't know. I believe that people who desire hurt and harm are wounded in some ways, but I don't have to be afraid of them. I create my capacity to hold a boundary and to get help from the positive resources that are available to me.
yes. So
Yeah.
what is the difference between healing and curing?
Healing and curing.
Mhm.
Interesting. Um, Curing, I identify as making it go away, you know. um, Healing, um, in lots of natural healing uh, methods, there is the principle that sometimes it gets worse before it gets better because you're drawing out whatever the imbalance is. So it's not to make a problem go away, it's to bring balance. That health, in English anyway, health, holy, and whole all have a similar root. So healing is about making whole, which means being in balance, being complete.
Mm.
And I think often when people talk about curing, it's they want something to just go away.
Could you tell
And
a story of John? Um,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
could you
you.
tell a story of John of how of your husband?
Yeah. Um,
Because this illustrates also the difference between healing and curing and the choices that you made, which were very brave and
yeah.
beautiful.
Well, yes, I was married for about 25. Well, we were together about 25 years. And a little over 10 years ago, my husband developed tonsil cancer. Um, Supposedly, it's pretty treatable. He had chemotherapy and radiation, and it was pretty brutal. Um, his father had had throat cancer. John had been a smoker and he was an alcoholic. And so until he was about 40 or so, I met him in his late 40s. So he'd already quit drinking and smoking. So I don't remember the times as clearly, but um, so he had some vulnerabilities. And um, when after 3 months, when the tests were done and he there was evidence of cancer still, he said he didn't want to go through more treatment, that he wanted the last period of time in his life to be one in which he felt as good as possible and could interact with the people he loved. And so he did not do treatment and lived, well, from the time he was diagnosed until he died was about 13 months. He didn't live as long as he expected, but the quality of time was good. he utilized that as a spiritual process for himself. He was in Alcoholics Anonymous. He went to a lot of meetings. When he couldn't get out anymore, his meetings came to our home. And we decided that he would stay at home. And we had some hospice care, but he was at our house. And so he was at home when he died. I felt as though we were able to support him in that transition. But what was really extraordinary for me, even the night after he died, or he died very early in the morning. So that night when I went to bed, the hospital bed was still in our bedroom. And, it's like, wow, John's not here. And I just felt this wave of warm energy through my body. And I said, John, is that you? Another wave of warm energy. And I started talking with him, but I tested out. And anytime I'd say, are you still here? Wave of warm energy. And that went on for weeks. I don't even know how long, but it was such a beautiful gift he gave me, that he was assuring me that he was still with me, that it gave me time to get used to not having him there physically. And I think for the very first time, it's like nobody can tell me that when we take our last breath, that's the end. I mean, from my own experience in my body, it's not just what I believe, it's what I felt. I knew his presence was there, and I trusted that. And he didn't do postures very much, but he had his own way of being connected with spirit, and that supported him through the whole end of his life.
And how was this decision to you, like when he made a decision not to go into treatment? How was it for you? Like, did
For
you
me,
discuss that, or?
I had seen how much he suffered. Radiation on this part of the body is hard. And mostly I just trusted him to know. Um, um, well, I'm at a loss for words, because it was like I'd already known he had cancer, and I knew that his life was going to be shorter, but it's like he's going to die within the next couple years. He died sooner than that. It's like, I can't deal with that. Too bad. I mean, you have to deal with it. And so I had to find what I needed to be able to be present with it. And because I could be present with it, he could be more present with his own conscious process of facing the end of his life.
Yeah. So, in a way,
Yeah.
that was healing, yes? He went through his own healing in his sickness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He paid attention. He knew what he needed to do. And he said we were part of a spiritual retreat group that met twice a year for a week. So we'd known each other. I mean, we'd known this group quite well. I think he'd been in the group about 8 years. And he said to them, I am amazed and pleased to be able to say that I love every one of you, and I know that you love me. And I think that's what he came for. I think that that was the tying the bow to say, good, I did what I needed to do in this lifetime. To let a group of 45 or 50 people to say, I love each one of you. And I know that you love me. I have registered it. I feel it. That's very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people can say that
Yeah.
in today's world? Mm.
Right. Because he had to work with his own issues of self-judgment, things he was ashamed of, all that stuff to let in the love that was available to him. And I really think it's one of the biggest issues on the planet is that people are defended against allowing in the love that we long for. We crave it, but then we're afraid of it. Yeah.
That just me deeply.
Yeah.
I'm really moved by what you
I'm
said.
glad. Yes, because it means to me that your heart's available, you know, that, and you're allowing your heart to be touched.
I guess it depends on the kind of love that's coming.
It depends on the plot. I'm sorry, I didn't,
It depends on the kind of love or
the
who
kind of
is
love.
bringing the love. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, love is basically pure, and then it gets filtered through other people's needs, and so sometimes we're loved by people who can only love us partially, but they're doing the best they can. Um, this journey on planet Earth is a curious one.
mhm.
Yeah.
And how do you see the changes that we are undergoing right now? Because it seems that we've accelerated on
Yes.
this journey, that we are like rolling fast right now.
Yes. Um, I'm not an astrologer, but I follow astrology, and certainly there are lots of indicators that we're in a period of things moving very quickly. And um, the political situation in the United States is one in which change is happening very quickly. Um, uh, the inauguration was just 1 month ago, and um, needing to, my guidance is our job is to stay centered and grounded, to ask for guidance, and to just, for me, it's to whatever I can do to help whatever's going on to be helpful, make it clear to me. And sometimes those things seem really simple, but if I ask for what can I do, then I know that I'm participating in a movement toward a positive outcome. Well, outcome. There's always change, but that we can move through the present situation in a way that can serve a greater good. But we have to stay steady with staying centered, grounded, meditate, ask for guidance, and sustain community, support each other so that we know we're not separated or isolated or alone.
This is like a pandemic now, the loneliness, and people are
Yes.
divided.
Yeah. Yes, the pandemic set up a certain kind of loneliness, but also an attunement to how powerful and important connection is. So some people had to learn how to have connection. You know, we saw people standing on their balconies singing to each other or things like that. Um, Whatever it is, that we need those same tools now, even though we're not in the midst of a pandemic. We need to utilize the tools to overcome loneliness, to build intimacy. I just had a group right before you and I were talking, some senior coaches, life coaches. And I think that we're even modifying our nervous systems to learn how to be intimate over Zoom or whatever platform we're using, how to build connection and perceive the presence of another and exude our own presence in this way. And some of us are learning how. We're training our nervous systems. So you feel as present to me. Well, not exactly as present as if you were sitting across the table from me, but very real, very present. And we can sense each other's energy fields. And that's a kind of intimacy that's definitely possible in this way.
Mhm. Yeah, there was one moment when we talked. You looked up and like I could see the full size of your eyes, and I felt this like deep connection. I think that I have never felt online with anyone, so it's
Mm.
quite
So your
it
screen
was
has
beautiful.
frozen. And because of that, if you'll lean